Greetings Keyforgers, I hope you are all well. You can probably guess by the title of today's video what we're going to go through, but it is going to be, bottom card coming out, my favourite DAV deck, or Dark Amber Vault deck. So let's get straight into the cards. We're starting out with Shadows. We have a Dino Thief, 4 power elusive, play. You may exalt Dino Thief. If you do, deal 3 damage to a creature. And it's got 2 draw enhancements on there. Master Mindy, 2 power elusive. At the end of your turn, put a scheme counter on Master Mindy. Action. Remove each scheme counter from Master Mindy. Steal 1 amber for each scheme counter removed this way. Ransack is an action. Play, steal 1. Discard the top card of your deck. If that is a Shadows card, trigger this effect again. Makis Asp, 3 power with Skirmish and Poison. Boss Zarek, 3 power, and it put 3 capture enhancements in the deck. Each friendly creature with amber on it gains elusive. Subtle Otto, 1 power. Play, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. Seeker Needle is an artifact. Action, deal 1 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, gain 1 amber. A second Seeker Needle, this one has a capture enhancement. Rad Penny, 1 power. Play, steal 1 amber. Destroyed, shuffle Rad Penny into your deck. This has a damage enhancement. Mutant Cut Purse, 3 power. It put 3 damage enhancements in the deck and it has a capture enhancement itself. Look Over There is an action. Play, deal 2 damage to a creature. If it is not destroyed, steal 1 amber. And there it is, the Dark Amber Vault. It's an artifact. After you play a mutant creature, draw a card. Each friendly mutant creature gets +2 power. On to Star Alliance. Starting out with John Cargo, 1 power. Reap, discard the top card of your deck and reveal your hand. Archive each card that shares a house with a discarded card. It has a capture enhancement and a damage enhancement. Universal Translator is an upgrade. You get an amber when you play it, and this one has an enhanced amber. This creature gains Fight, Reap, use a friendly non-Star Alliance creature. A second Universal Translator. Mutagenis Researcher, 3 power. It put 1 of each enhancement in our deck. Detention Coil is an upgrade. You get an amber when you play it. This creature cannot fight. Armory Officer Nell, 4 power. It put a draw enhancement in the deck. After an upgrade enters play, draw a card. And it's been enhanced with an amber, damage and draw pip. Anthony, 6 power. Play, capture all of your opponent's amber. At the end of your turn, move 1 amber from Anthony to your opponent's pool. Survey is an action. You get an amber when you play it. To put a draw enhancement in the deck, play. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, discard 1 of them. Subject Kirby, 2 power. Play, Fight, Reap. You may play a non-Star Alliance creature this turn, and it has a capture enhancement. Subdue is an action. You get an amber when you play it. Play, deal 1 damage to a creature and stun it. Sensor Chief Garcia, 3 power. Play, Fight, Reap. Keys cost +2 amber during your opponent's next turn. Secure Droid, 4 power with Taunt. May be played as an upgrade instead of a creature. With the text, this creature gains Taunt. And finally on to Untamed. We have Mutation of Instinct. It's an action. You get an amber when you play it. Play. Until the start of your next turn, a creature gains Skirmish and the mutant trait. A second Mutation of Instinct. And a third Mutation of Instinct, this one with an enhanced amber pip. Wild Bounty is an action. It put 2 amber enhancements in the deck. Play. The next time you play a card this turn, resolve each of its bonus icons an additional time. Vault's Blessing is an action. You get an amber when you play it, and it's got a damage enhancement. Play, each player gains 1 amber for each mutant creature they control. Dark Harbinger, 4 power. After you play an Untamed action card, ready Dark Harbinger. Song of the Wild is an action. Play, for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature gains Reap, gain 1 amber. Pismir, 4 power. While there are more friendly mutant creatures than enemy mutant creatures, your opponent's keys cost +2 amber. Fandangle, 3 power. While you have 4 amber or more, your non-untamed creatures enter play ready. A second Fandangle. Dark Fairy, 2 power with Skirmish, fight, gain 2 amber. Cephaloist, 4 power. While you have 4 amber or more, your amber cannot be stolen. And there we have it. Now, it's a really good deck, so let's get straight into that breakdown. Just a quick note before I get into the breakdown, this is one of my all-time favourite decks to play. I don't get to play it much because most of the people I play know it and they don't like it. And one of the reasons they don't like it is because if the Dark Amber Vault comes out early and they can't get rid of it, this deck becomes almost, I would say, unstoppable. But the main reason they don't like it is that if this never comes out, it's still a pretty decent deck and still quite hard to beat. It came in at 20 creatures. Now, in a Dark Amber Vault, you want as many mutants as you can. We have 13 out of those 20 creatures that are mutants. There are 10 actions, 3 artifacts and 3 upgrades. A total of 12 printed amber. And the enhancements was 3 amber, 4 capture, 4 damage and 3 draw. So that's 14 enhancements in the deck as well. If we look at it on something like decks of Keyforge, almost every single card contributes to the overall score. It's not an extremely high rated SAS deck. So just proves that SAS rating isn't always the best reflection of how good a deck is. It comes in at 79. If we start with Amber Control, we have Untamed, we have the Pismir or the Pismire, 4 power, that nice passive effect there. If there are more friendly mutant creatures than enemy mutant creatures, your opponent's keys cost +2 amber. You only really have trouble if you're facing another mass mutation deck, and even so we have 13 mutants. So usually our opponent never forges for 6, because we also have in Star Alliance Center Chief Garcia, play Fight Reap, keys cost +2 amber during your opponent's next turn. If they do ramp, we have Anthony, 6 power, play capture all your opponent's amber, but with a passive effect of at the end of your turn you move 1 amber from Anthony to your opponent's pool. It is a stall, especially if they can take Anthony out. The best use of Anthony I've had myself was with a transporter platform, which meant that I could bounce it back every turn and keep my opponent permanently off check because they couldn't take them off the board. In Shadows, we had the Rad Penny. 1 power, play steal 1, destroyed, shuffle Rad Penny into your deck. Having that damage pip on there means that you can't play Rad Penny on an open board because it kills itself and therefore doesn't steal. We have the Ransack. Steal 1 amber, then there's a full stop. So you're always going to steal 1 if your opponent's got it. Then you discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a Shadows card, trigger this effect again. Yes, I have lost my Dark Amber Vault to that before, but I did steal 2. Look over there. Another action, play, deal 2 damage to a creature. If it's not destroyed, steal 1 amber. Now one good advantage of having a Dark Amber Vault means it gives all our mutants +2 power. So at a pinch, we can use this on our own creatures. And finally we have Master Mindy, 2 power with Elusive. At the end of your turn you put a scheme counter on Master Mindy. And then as an action you can remove each scheme counter from Master Mindy. Steal 1 amber for each scheme counter removed this way. If your opponent is having trouble taking it out, this can be real damaging over a couple of turns. Anything that was steal counts towards our expected amber. So you've got Mindy, look over there, Ransack, Rad Penny. They would all count towards expected amber. The main control was in those 3 cards there to increase our opponent's key costs. Not forgetting we had those 4 capture enhancements in the deck as well. Expected amber, yes, this is a fast deck. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the Untamed. I've put the Cephaloist in here because while you have 4 amber or more, your amber cannot be stolen. That's just a really annoying effect for your opponent, and it works quite well with the 2 Fandangles as well, because they're 3 power. While you have 4 amber or more, your non-untamed creatures enter play ready. This deck does rely quite heavily on a board, and if you have 3 or 4 amber, both of these cards mean that you can pretty much play your entire board and it's protected outside of an untamed turn as well. Well, your amber's protected anyway. We had the Dark Fairy, 2 power skirmish with that fight ability of gain 2. Great first turn card. Then we had Vault's Blessing, which is one of the rampiest cards in this deck with our 13 mutants, because You get an amber when you play it. It's got a damage enhancement, but each player gains 1 amber for each mutant creature they control. Whenever I play this, I usually get a key's worth of amber or more. If your opponent is not playing Mass Mutation, this is such a beneficial card. We have some advantage in that we have 3 Mutation of Instinct in our deck. Now, if we do have these in our hand at the time, their ability, which is play, until the start of your next turn, a creature gains Skirmish, and the mutant trait means that they're considered a mutant, and it works with Vault's Blessing. So with those 3, we could possibly, if we had the whole board out, I know it's probably never going to happen, but 16 mutants, that's 17 amber from a Vault's Blessing. Most of our untamed actions have amber pips, and that works very well there with Wild Bounty, which means we resolve the bonus icons twice. It also put 2 amber enhancements in the deck, and then we had, just to top it off, the Dark Harbinger. 4 power after you play an untamed action card, ready Dark Harbinger. Now we have 6 untamed action cards. There's 5 there, the 3 Mutation of Instinct, the Vault's Blessing and the Wild Bounty. Funnily enough, Dark Harbinger is also a mutant. The final card in Untamed was Song of the Wild. Usually a pretty dead card in most Untamed decks because you usually hit it with 2 or 3 other creatures, but in this deck with a Dark Harbinger, for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature gains Reap gain 1. That's 3 amber off the bat with a Dark Harbinger. Because you'll Reap with it, you'll play Song of the Wild to ready it, and then you'll Reap with it again to gain another 2. And then if you've got any of the other actions that we've just gone through, you can get a hell of a lot of amber in 1 turn. We had the 2 Seeker Needles. One of them hit a capture enhancement. Action, deal 1 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, gain 1 amber. Now we do have the Rad Penny and the Subtle Otto in our deck, so we could use it to ping those. But they are both mutants, and if the Dark Amber Vault is out, they've actually got 3 power. So they're actually quite good at popping wards and picking off your opponent's creatures as well. And if we're looking for out of turn house cheats, we have 2 Universal Translators. One of them hit that other Amber enhancement. This creature gains Fight, Reap, use a friendly non-Star Alliance creature. So you put it on your Star Alliance creatures and you can use an out of house creature, so an Untamed or a Shadows. Makes it a hugely versatile board. I would say the only thing lacking in this deck is artifact control. If it had a Reclaim by Nature action card in Untamed, this deck would be, I think, a must pick for any Archon tournament ever because of the speed. But sadly, no artifact control. We do have a way of making our opponent discard a card. If we hit an artifact, great. Creature control, there's not much. But with 20 creatures, hopefully we maintain the board through our creatures. And with our mutants getting +2 power, if we've got that Dark Amber Vault in play, it makes our battle line that little bit more sustainable. In Star Alliance, we had the Detention Coil. This creature cannot fight. Again, it's great for popping on those creatures that have those nasty fight abilities. Flumph, I think I talked about in a couple of videos back. I got absolutely wrecked by a Flumph. Large, gigantic creatures. Saurion, Sanctum, those big, heavy creatures that love to fight. If we can't stop them fighting, maybe we can stun them for a turn with Subdue, deal 1 damage to a creature and stun it, so we could pop a ward as well. Maybe set up for a next turn Seeker Needle. We had the Machis Asp, one of the non-mutant creatures in the deck, 3 power with Skirmish and Poison, so it won't take any damage when it fights, and if it damages something through armor, it's going to kill it straight away. And then we had Dino Thief, 4 power elusive. Play, you may exalt it to do 3 damage to a creature, so it's got built-in direct damage. It has 2 draw enhancements, and it is a mutant. So if you play this with the Dark Amber Vault out, you draw 3 cards and it becomes 6 power, and you can ping something for 3 damage. That's absolutely nuts. When it comes to efficiency, yes, we have the Dark Amber Vault. But we've also got some efficiency in Star Alliance as well. We have Subject Kirby. Hit a capture enhancement, 2 power, play Fight Reap. You may play a non-Star Alliance creature this turn. Very good for bringing down a Dark Harbinger, Cephaloist or Fandangle out of turn. Or bring down that Master Mindy to get that scheme counter on a turn earlier so you can use it when you call Shadows. We had Armory Officer Nell. 4 power, put a draw enhancement in the deck, and after an upgrade enters play, draw a card. That's an upgrade from you or your opponent. There are 3 upgrades in this deck and 1 card that can be played as an upgrade, which is that Secure Droid there. We had Survey. It's an action. Put another draw enhancement in the deck and it's got an Amber Pip. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, discard one of them. Great way for searching for that Dark Amber Vault if you really do need it. And 9 times out of 10, when I play it, it ends up at the bottom of the deck. Then we had John Cargo. 1 power, reap, discard the top card of your deck and reveal your hand. You archive each card that shares a house with a discarded card. It's got a capture and it's got a damage enhancement. It doesn't usually pull off. Because of the 1 power, this gets pinged off pretty quickly. Again, you can't play it on its own because it will kill itself. But that reap ability has meant I've cycled a lot quicker sometimes, especially if I've been stuck with a hand of untamed actions without my Dark Harbinger. It's very, very good. Though one time I did discard my Dark Harbinger to archive all my actions, so that was a bit annoying there. There was no recursion, so there's no chance of us pulling anything out of our discard pile at all. But we did have a little bit of disruption, which could count towards artifact control if we get extremely lucky and discard it from our opponent's hand before we play it. We have that subtle auto. Good playability. You can ping it with a Seeker Needle if you don't have the Dark Amber Vault out. But it is a mutant and it's going to have 3 power, so it will count towards that Vault's Blessing. The other 3 cards in the deck, and like I said, there's not that many that didn't contribute, all of them put in enhancements in our deck. So we had the Cut Purse that put in 3 damage, it got a capture enhancement as well. The Mutagenist Researcher, which put 1 of each enhancement in. And then Boss Zarek. 3 power, it put 3 capture enhancements in our deck, and each friendly creature with Amber on it gains Elusive. So capturing onto some of our other creatures makes it seem a little bit better if we've got Boss Zarek out. Makes Anthony automatically elusive when you play them, because they've got to capture your opponent's Amber, so it's a little harder to take off the board. If you can get 1 Amber onto your Dark Harbinger, give it elusive, works quite well, a bit more survivability. I want to say all-time favourite deck to play, but I don't get to play it much anymore. Even people on the Crucible know this deck now. I'll leave a link in the description to the Master Vault if you want to take it for a spin on the Crucible. I've taken it to Chainbound. I think it went 3-1. I did lose a game there. I took it to a 2-deck Archon Survival, and I think I ended up coming second. I took this, and I took actually my 91 SAS deck with the 3 Eon the Fringes that we looked at a couple of videos back. I took that and this one, and I came second. So yeah, it is a very competitive and fun deck to play, but probably very annoying to play against. The next video is going to be a little bit sinful, so do tune in for that one. But all that remains me to say is good luck, have fun, keep forging.